So this Saturday is AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view till next year's Revolution in February or March. And the second to last big event or special event of the year, the last one actually being Winter is Coming. Now, when it comes to Full Gear, even though the card looks really good with some great matches, some questionable ones, but still overall looking decent, not many people have been excited about Full Gear. And, honestly, there's good reason for that. As I drink myself some coffee here. But obviously, there's some good reason for that. One, the build to it has not been, it's not been basically at par with what AEW usually would, I guess you could say deem a decent build, or at least the AEW faithful would not deem being a decent field, and basically not up to par with what AEW usually is known for. And I don't think honestly, not to try to side with Tony Khan or anything, because he's made a lot of mistakes. Let's be honest. He's basically fallen off the wagon since, I guess, Triple H took over at WWE, and he's now trying to figure out, okay, how do I combat this guy with, a lot of the decisions and returns he's making. I think what it is that, as I've mentioned before in a video that's non-AEW, but I did mention AEW's current situation in it as an example, AEW basically is in a rebooting phase, if you will. Basically going back to essentially square one to try to, get, the fan base interested and invested in what they bring to the table with the product. So, honestly, despite, Tony Khan making some mistakes and everything, and whatever team he's had enlisted for him for advice and whatever, it's one of those situations to where they're just basically restarting. It's one of those deals to where you try to write a story, you try to write a comic and everything to establish maybe a new franchise in, let's say, the DC or Marvel universe, and it doesn't take off, the way you would hope. Like, it takes off okay, but then it drops. And one of the resolutions you have, or solutions you believe you have, once its popularity drops off and everything, and maybe behind the scenes you have some turmoil or whatever, or changing of the guard, one of the things you're bound to do is decide, okay, what can we try to do? Where can we try to go to salvage this book? Because we know it has the potential to be great. And one of the obvious directions and solutions you go for is rebooting it, basically starting over again. Like, even if the book is like 25 issues in, and it's, the sales have basically dropped off, you decide, okay, what can we do to salvage it? Oh, I know, let's just reboot it, even though it's barely been 2 years. And now you're going to reboot it again and start all over with a new number one, or you're just going to do a soft, reset, if you will, and continue on and act like, what happened previously has no consequence, isn't coincidental, or whatever the word is. Basically has no consequence or meaning, period. Basically act like, hey, the previous 24 issues of the story, aren't really, aren't really important to, remember. Basically, they're just non-existing now. And that's kind of how you look at with AEW over the past, several months since August, since August, September, late August, early September, ever since the Media Scrum Brawl, or the brawl during the Media Scrum after All Out. They've been through a resetting phase. They've been through basically a soft reset, a soft reboot. As I drink myself some more coffee there. They've basically been through a soft reset, a soft reboot ever since. They're trying to reestablish themselves as a true alternative. And, to me, that's a good thing to do. I mean, yeah, you're going to make mistakes that not everybody agrees with along the way. You're going to basically lose some momentum, and you're going to basically have to relearn from scratch how things, how to do things and stuff. I mean, the quality of the matches you present might be, good on paper, if not great, but it's the presentation and how you get to that point. And I think that's what's going on right now. And I think when you look at what happened with the media scrum brawl, and by extension, maybe Triple H taking over at WWE, for someone like Tony Khan, it's a major reset. It's basically him having to, push the reboot button on, AEW to have it start all over again and make you feel, just as fresh, if not more so, than it was when it first started. And again, don't blame him on that. And yeah, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to get criticism. People are going to basically say that he's lost. What's the word? He's lost the plot. Not the word, but the saying, he's lost the plot. People are going to say that, and that's fine. But like I said, sometimes when it comes to a comic book that's looked at potentially, as the next big franchise for Marvel or DC, and it doesn't do so well and everything for at least 25 issues, people will say, okay, it seems that we've lost the plot. What do we do? After 25 issues, you do a reset. Whether it's a hard reset where you just start all over with a new number one, or it's a soft reset where you could just continue from an issue numeral-wise with 26 and use 26 as their soft resetted number one. Basically act like the other 25 didn't matter. Other 25 stories anyway. Or non-coincidental. What's the word? Trying to think of it. Non-consequential. Yeah, basically that's the word. Sorry if I say it wrong. But yeah, basically that's what it's like. And I think that's what's going on here. So Full Gear, upcoming on Saturday, even though the build has not been for it, the build for it in many people's eyes has not been very well, it is basically, to me, going to be the key point of the whole reset, of the whole soft reset, if you will, for AEW, the whole soft reboot. This is going to be basically where AEW either makes or breaks for the future, when it comes to the, television deal next year. It makes and breaks for the future of the talent overall, both AEW and Ring of Honor. It's basically going to be, it's either going to be something that, they can plant the flag in and say, we are now back and we're going to, be what we used to be, if not better. Or it's going to be something that's going to basically say, yeah, they still have a lot to rebuild from and go from there. But that's up to what happens that's up to Tony Khan and basically what's presented at Full Gear. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below, live chat during the premiere, like the video. I got to get into work. Check me out at BW Rose's podcast, where you'll get a podcast version of this as well, audio-wise that is. But let me know what your thoughts are and everything as I try to get this adjusted here. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I will talk to you all later. I got to get into work.